In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God. I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God. I find myself. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God. I find God. I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself.
Good morning. My name is Reggie Kapp, and I am a member and a licensed practitioner of Columbia Center for Spiritual Living. And today I'm giving my time and talent as our presider. So welcome to our Sunday celebration. We would greatly appreciate it if you would share this live stream on whatever social media platforms you use to bring more of us together in spiritual community. Thank you so much. All right. So if this is your first time experiencing Columbia Center for Spiritual Living, we welcome you. We thank you. We thank you for joining us today. We want you to know, whoever you are and whatever spiritual path you're on, you are welcome and celebrated here. There are a variety of ways to connect and engage with others in spiritual community. We invite you to check out our website calendar at columbiacsl.com/events. And you can email us at info@columbiacsl.com for more information, or call us at the office at 410-750-8559. And now I get to share a little bit about who we are and what we're up to. Our vision is to contribute to a world that works for everyone. We are a diverse community of belonging and growth. We share the light and joy within ourselves while learning to see it in others, all others. As a community, we strive to illuminate the spirit truth that we all belong to each other. And that calls for us to be inclusive, to embrace and celebrate our unique identities, such as all abilities and ages, all physical characteristics, all gender identities, all national origins, all faiths and spiritual paths, all sexual orientations, and all ethnicities and races, just to name a few. There are different ways we accomplish all this. We study, experience, and share with one another in spiritual community. Here are a couple of upcoming opportunities. 1926 Science of Mind Study Group. We gather on Zoom every Thursday evening from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time to study the original Science of Mind text written by our founder, Reverend Dr. Ernest Holmes. This group is offered on a love offering basis with a suggested offering of $10 a session. All right, second annual pool party. Come to the Cove Pool on Sunday, July 23rd after Sunday service. That'll be an in-person service. You can bring your snacks and lunch and drinks, no glass, please, just like any other pool. And let's socialize all afternoon. There are showers and bathrooms, tables and chairs on site. So for directions, use 10061 or 10071 Windstream Drive in Columbia, Maryland, 21044. There are two parking lots with 10071 being the larger. And please don't park in any of the spaces marked reserved. And of course, Sunday celebration service. We come together in spiritual community on Sundays, every Sunday, to celebrate life. So, hey, let's get to it. We have a saying here, singing is like praying twice. So let's begin with a song. This morning, we're blessed to have our guest musician, Theta Phoenix, joining us from Canada. Theta is a songwriter and intuitive singer whose intimate and authentic performances reveal a passion for creating a love-centered life. You're going to get to hear it. Please join me in welcoming Theta Phoenix.
Hello. I'm so happy to be sharing my music with you today.
Thank you, Theta. Wow, she's like a siren. Oh, only in a good way. A good way. Yeah. Beautiful. That was beautiful. Thank you. Gorgeous. So let's begin shifting our attention inward as we engage in shared spiritual practice. We will have a contemplative reading by Mindy Derrick, followed by a guided meditation and affirmative prayer by licensed religious science practitioner Idaya Romero. I invite you to release anything that might be distracting you and allow yourself to be fully present in this moment where spirit is all there is.
Today's reading is from Science of Mind magazine Daily Guide for June 5th, 2023 by Reverend Christy Hardwick. The intimate with the infinite. We begin with a quote from Amy Steinberg, "Intimate with the infinite. Let me be intimate with the infinite. Let me be deeply revealed." And from Ernest Holmes' The Science of Mind, page 153. We long for and need a conscious union with the infinite. This is as necessary to the nature of to the nature and intellect of man as food is to the well-being of a physical body. In my book, Radical Self-Tenderness, I write about practices to cultivate tenderness in ourselves. I write about yoga, breathwork, massage, singing, dancing, music, tapping, and more. The central tenet from which all others derive is our relationship with spirit and the unseen inner light and fire. Intimacy with other humans requires a sense of trust and vulnerability. Intimacy with spirit or the infinite requires our knowing. We have to know that God is love itself. We have to know that infinite mind casts no judgment. We have to know that we are always welcome and always safe. Our intimacy with the infinite comes with constant awakening and prayer and practicing of the presence. The more we drop into the inner chamber of our hearts to commune with the God self, the more such intimacy becomes our default position. Holmes reminds us that our relationship with the source of life is as necessary as food. We feed our bodies, and our relationship with that which created us feeds our souls. As Holmes said, we are intimate with the infinite, in conscious union with it. We have all we need for an abundant and light-filled life. This intimacy is our ultimate self-tenderness, a deep, gorgeous surrender to God. Please join me in today's affirmation. Today I welcome true intimacy with the infinite. I let myself be revealed as the expression of God that I am, and so it is.
Good morning, beloveds. So happy to be here with you today. Let's just breathe in these words of intimacy. As we now take a moment to get quiet and become still, let us affirm, I wake up to the truth of spirit that I am. I wake up mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically to the truth of the Spirit that I am. Knowing that the inner presence within me is great and mighty. We celebrate the divine. So let us take a moment to contemplate and meditate on these words. Today, I know the inner light within me shines divinely. Today, I know the inner life within me lives completely. Today, I know the inner joy within me smiles serenely. Today, I know the inner peace within me flows deeply inside my being. Today, I know the inner calm within me is untroubled and happy in this moment. Today, I know the inner love within me gives freely. Today, I know the inner truth within me never, ever fails me. Today, I know the inner power within me holds on securely. Today, I know the inner eye within me sees clearly. Today, I know the inner ear within me hears spirit always. Today, I know the inner voice within me speaks supremely. Today, I know the inner good within me binds me to spirit always. Holy, holy, holy is the God within me. Holy, holy is the God within me. So as we take these words into our heart, let us now take a moment to just ground ourselves in this truth, in these words that bring us back to remembering who we truly, truly, truly are. So let's just allow these words to just surrender themselves into our hearts as we remember in this moment. Let us pray. For we know there is only one power and one mind, that absolute essence that is everywhere present. It is that energy that is always, always bubbling up inside of us. It is alive. It is that which we celebrate the divine each and every moment of the day. It is that power that unites all of us, not only in this moment, but always, everywhere we go and everywhere we stand. And today, as we come together to remember this, to be here at the Columbia Center for Spiritual Living, to be reminded that it is all good because it is all God allowing itself to just be in us, to flow within us, to be that energy that is in every place, in every cranny of everywhere that we stand and everywhere that we go. So we are so grateful for this celebration, for this coming together today, to know that the words that come through Reverend Rafe today are just exactly what we need to hear today. And to know that everything is flowing in the very essence of this life, of this power, of this joy, of this peace. So we just say yes to it all. Yes, just bring it on, Lord. Bring it on, Lord, for this celebration is already delivered, and just allow it to be and already in the presence of perfection. So we just open up our hearts, knowing it is done, and we just let it be as we allow these words to be surrendered into that nothing and nothingness, into that law that always, always is here for us, embracing us in that delicious energy. So we just say yes as we release it and we let it be. And together we just say, and so it is, and so it is. Amen.
And so it is. Wow. Thank you so much, Adalia. That was amazing. What a beautiful meditation and prayer. And thank you, Mindy, for that wonderful reading. So let's continue moving inward with more music from Theta Phoenix.
One of my favorite things to do is to sing with the harp.
Good morning, beloveds. Good morning, good morning. My name is Reverend Rafe Ellis, for those that don't know me. And I am so blessed and privileged to be the senior minister and spiritual leader of Columbia Center for Spiritual Living. What a gift in my life that I get to do this. So let's take a breath together. This morning, our talk title is Standing on Shiva. And if you've studied anything of Hindu deities, you know there are hundreds, if not thousands, of stories about each deity, and there are an innumerable amount of deities. One of the things I love about Hinduism is the openness that really allows for continuous interpretation and experience, excuse me, of all of these powers of creation. And that while we may experience or perceive them as separate powers, there is a common thread that it really is one thing. And that's part of what we're going to talk about this morning. So there's a Hindu story of a battle taking place between the gods and the demons. And the demons are winning, and the gods turn to Durga, known as the goddess of compassion and mothering, to please do something. And so out of her forehead sprang a fierce warrior goddess named Kali. And Kali proceeded to destroy all the demons. However, she got really caught up in the frenzy of it all and just began killing everyone indiscriminately. Shiva, Lord Shiva, the destroyer of illusion, threw himself under her feet, grounded her in the destruction of illusion, allowing her to come back to herself and stop the mindless killing. So, how does this relate to us? How is the story of Shiva relevant today? Well, as I studied many different stories, what really came to me was how our limited human use of intelligence seems to be the basis of our limitations. We create instruments to see and measure what we've convinced ourselves that we can't see in the human form. We've limited ourselves from seeing beyond our physical form. We are so deeply anchored in the limitations of our perceptions that this experience of condition becomes our attachment, and the physical world itself becomes our spiritual limitation. We tend to make the physical far more real than the spiritual. We tend to make the seen far more real than the unseen. Even though we study and many of us reach an awareness that in this physical realm, everything is the unformed reality in physical form. We forget that. And when we forget that, and we're in the work, the spiritual work of healing conditions, instead of going to the unseen, we tend to go to war with conditions. And when we do this, we get lost in the battle. Just like Kali got lost in the battle, we get lost in the battle. And we forget our real power and our real purpose. And so, how do we get regrounded in the truth that brings us back to our spiritual self? I don't know about you, but I find that to be quite a continuous journey. So, going back to Lord Shiva has many interpretations, and perhaps the most known is that of the destroyer. Now, in this human realm, especially in this Western realm, most of us might immediately think of the destroyer as destruction, as a bad thing. And yet, in the Hindu tradition, it's not a negative at all. He is often considered part of the trinity of creation as the destroyer, maintaining and protecting creation by destroying what has been, what is, in order to create space for newness to emerge. Now, this is not a new concept for us. Ernest Holmes reminds us that spirit, and this is the quote that he uses from The Science of Mind, A Philosophy of Faith, A Way of Life, on page 553, the third paragraph. In dealing with this subtle power of mind and spirit, we are dealing with a fluent force. It is forever taking form and forever deserting the form which it has taken. Let me read that again. In dealing with this subtle power of mind and spirit, we are dealing with a fluent force. It is forever taking form and forever deserting the form it has taken. This physical realm, as far as I can see, is designed to be temporal. It was temporal in the Hindu religion long before science of mind. It is temporal as we understand it in science of mind, and perhaps it truly is temporal. Two words stood out for me in this quote: fluent and force. And so if we read this quote with those two terms expanded, I offer you this. In dealing with this subtle power of mind and spirit, we are dealing with a fluent, a force that is able to easily express and articulate itself, a strength or energy that creates movement, that influences and causes motion. And where that takes me is to this recognition that everything is always moving, that this tendency, this human tendency to anchor in some static experience of form is indeed illusion. And the energy of creation itself, or in the context of the talk this morning, Lord Shiva, is that presence, that power within creation that helps shake us loose from our attachment to form. When we recognize that this too shall pass, we bring a calmness to the whole physical realm, to our work. We can anchor in the truth of creation without getting stuck in the limitation of form. We can take on causes and seek to improve this world and ourselves while realizing that all of these demons that we seem to experience are temporal, that they too will pass. I think one of our challenges is we want instant gratification. We want it all and we want it all now. And I think if we're being really honest, we want it all yesterday. Right? And so while the entirety of the divine is fully present now, we would be blown into non existence if we became aware of it expressed as now, the totality. My friend and brother, the late Reverend Jeff Anderson, and I were talking one day, and he's sharing a meditation that he had. And he was in this place of, I want to know it all now. He was frustrated with what he was experiencing as a delay in knowing. And so, what he took into meditation was the question, why can't I know it all now? And during his meditation, what he got was a very clear, and it came to him, he experienced it even as an auditory voice that simply said, Jeffrey, if you knew everything at once, your little human head would explode. And isn't that really, I imagine that for myself and I go, oh yeah, I get it. The spiritual me, the spiritual you already knows because it is who we are. And yet the human us takes time. And perhaps that's the way it's supposed to be. We look at the story of Moses. Moses was told to not look upon God. If we look at the story of Arjuna, upon seeing the fullness of Krishna, he cried out that he wanted to return to his normal seeing. And so perhaps it's happening exactly as it's designed to happen. That we get to learn how to allow the flow of the divine nature that we are to take place at a pace that we can actually handle it. Our founder, Reverend Dr. Ernest Holmes, taught it this way. There is no process of healing, but there is generally a process in healing. This process is the time and effort which we undergo in our realizations of truth. The time it takes us to realize, to become aware of, to make truth real in our human experience. Now, time is a funny thing, and we all experience it differently. And probably the best example of that is the perception of time. How long a minute is really depends on which side of the bathroom door you're on, right? If you're inside the bathroom, a minute, not very long. If you're on the outside of the bathroom waiting to get in, a minute is a really long time. So knowing all of this, how do we translate it? How do we use this in healing ourselves, healing the world, which are really the same thing? Healing being, as Ernest Holmes said, the only thing that ever needs to be healed is a revealing of more truth, a revealing of more God, a making God, making truth more real. And so perhaps we start with compassion, and we start with the concept to alleviate suffering, which, if we only stop there, faith without works is dead. Ernest Holmes on page 49, paragraph 3 says, hoping and wondering if possibilities, let me do that again, hoping and wondering if possibly good will come along is wishful thinking. That we, without action, we're just hoping, we're wondering, we're wishing. So, how do we take action? How do we know what action to take? It, it's a dilemma, right? I go back to the saying, and I don't even know where it comes from, but if all I have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? What if we shift our tools? What if we start with ourselves and shift our tools? Perhaps we start with spiritual tools to change the human realm. Because all too often, I find, both in myself and in people I counsel with as a minister, is that we get stuck in reasoning from the physical realm to the spiritual instead of reasoning from the spiritual to the physical, right? And it does matter which direction we're coming at this from. And so I recommend that our first practice be visioning. And visioning is really that process where we sit in silence, where we let go of our human ideas, our human approach, our policies that will change things, that will prevent things, our if they would only do it my way, things would be better thinking. We let go of all that and we listen at every level of our spiritual and physical being for the divine's idea of healing, for how the infinite wants to express. It's interesting that in the cosmos, science has actually proven that 99% of the cosmos is empty. It's unformed, pure potential, infinite possibility. And so perhaps if we tap into that, we are tapping into and standing on Shiva. Shiva, literally translated, means that which is not, meaning that which is beyond form. Metaphysics, which we practice, means beyond the physical. And so perhaps this practice of visioning really is a divine tool that helps us move beyond our human ideas to the spiritual knowing that already lives within us. And we get to be patient. We get to practice being the one on the outside of the bathroom door and know that even in the midst of our angst, even in our hurry up and let me to this, all is well. All is truly well. That life is unfolding itself quite perfectly. Thomas Troward, in The Creative Process, says, circumstances indicate the sort of power we want, but they do not help us generate it. Rather, they impress us with a sense of something contrary to the power, and therefore we should endeavor to dwell on the power in itself and so come into touch with it in its limitless infinitude. Now, what that tells me is the power is getting beyond my finiteness, my limitations of my human thinking, and to explore that 99% of the unformed, the limitless, infinite field of possibility. Whether we call it spirit, whether we call it the quantum field, I don't think that matters near as much as that we dive into it, that we take a risk of allowing the unknown to unfold as us simply by knowing the truth of who we are. And as I know the truth of who I am, I must know the truth of who you are. Because when I truly know who I am, I know there's only one. And I know that you are it also. And so I invite you to play with this thing of visioning, to practice seeing that which is not yet formed. And then vision for direction on what is yours to do, not what is somebody else's to do and how you're to make them do that. No, no, no. What is yours to do? I'm recalling a story from a 12-step story where this concept of stay in our own lane, and the guy is driving down the road and he's just not paying attention. He wasn't intoxicated, just not paying attention. And he drifted over into the other lane, and a voice from behind him, which was actually a law enforcement officer using his speaker system on his vehicle, simply keyed the microphone and said, "Stay in your own lane." And perhaps we take that into our visioning practice, so that we remember that we're visioning for our lane. What is ours to do? How does spirit want to express itself as us? Because when we each do that, the whole body will heal. It has to. Let's take a breath together. And so I invite you in this moment to whatever is up for you, to allow that to help you set an intention for the week, to take what has come forward for you, what has come alive in you, what has come to your awareness, to set an intention for your week. And if you would like to share your intention in the chat, feel free to do so. And that allows us all to hold one another, because that's the beauty of community, is that we get to support one another. And so until we meet again, know that I am holding you in consciousness. I am holding all of our intentions in consciousness. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Reggie for our conscious giving time. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Reverend Rafe. Yes, I intend to remember spirit is guiding the way and there is unlimited potential in this world. I love that. Love to remember that. Okay, so we just received and now we can give. So as we prepare to practice the law of circulation, let's speak our prosperity affirmation together. I know that the infinite abundance of the universe is blessing and expanding my offering for the good of all. And so it is. And now I'd like to invite our virtual ushers, text, check, and website to receive our gifts as we listen to another musical gift from Theta Phoenix.
My name is Theta Phoenix, and this is the closing song off my album Legacy. It's called This Journey. We never know where this journey will lead. We've just got to do our best. We create it with our choices, and the spirits do the rest. And no matter what happens to me, I trust this life. I trust this journey, for I love this life. Such a gift that I've been given, and I can remember the mystery when I was just a little child, thinking about what is this existence. Sometimes I think, sometimes I dream that there is a purpose to this whole thing, and then I choose to let it go. 'Cause maybe the purpose is just to let it flow, let it go. Let it go, let it be, let it be. Just live my life the way that makes me happy. What else is the point? Whoa, finding the joy in all the little things, finding the joy in everything that it brings. Oh, finding the joy in what is, finding the joy and letting it live. Oh, so it just keeps unfolding. Oh, this journey, this river is flowing, and all I must do is do my best to live my truth, live my truth, live my truth, live my truth, and be amazed, and be amazed.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am amazed. Thank you to Theta Phoenix, our guest artist of the day, and much thanks to each of you who gave during the offering this morning, who may have given earlier this month, and who will give after this service. We gratefully receive your gifts and tithes. Your support is an investment in the vitality and growth of your own spiritual journey, and in the journey of Columbia Center for Spiritual Living, and for a world that works for everyone. So please join me as we bless every gift given and received. Together, we receive these gifts, knowing that they nurture and support our vision of contributing to a world that works for everyone. And so it is. You can enjoy more of Theta Phoenix's music and all of her offerings by checking out her website, thetaphoenix.com. So now let's bring back Reverend Rafe to close us out this morning.
Good morning again, beloveds. So the coolest thing I get to do is to thank everybody. So I want to thank Reggie Cap, licensed practitioner, for being our presider this morning. Thank you, Mindy Derrick, for being our reader. Thank you, Idalia Romero, licensed practitioner, for our spiritual practice. Thank you, Theta Phoenix, for our music. Thank you, Jesse Dabbs, for being the wizard behind the curtain on our live stream. Thank you, Mary Jane Thompson, for the behind the scenes selecting our reading. And thank you, Don Henderson, for being the deeper wizard behind the screen that sets all of this up so we can just come in here and do this thing. I appreciate each of you. So if you have not yet marked your calendar, please do so for August 27th. August 27th, we have a significant celebration happening. We will be installing us into a new experience of Columbia Center for Spiritual Living. It will start with an ordination ceremony for my ordination that happened a while ago, but COVID delayed the celebration and the formal service. So we will be doing that. And then I will be officially installed as the senior minister and spiritual leader here at Columbia Center for Spiritual Living. And then I will reinstall all of you into our new experience of Columbia CSL. So I hope you will join us. It's going to be a really special time. Now, next week, you do not want to miss next week. We will continue, it'll be an in-person service, and we'll continue our exploration of speaking truth to circumstances with the talk, The Wise Warrior. What you really want to come for is an experience of what's possible musically for us. Our music director, Jamie Hudson Craig, has literally been working her hiney off, putting together an experience for us. I, for one, am incredibly excited. We get to experience what is possible should we decide to choose it. So there you have it. Okay, so now we're going to move into our weekly affirmation. And wherever you are, it will be on the screen here. And I'm going to read each one to get separately, and then we can read them together. And so we'll do one at a time. So the first one, I release any need, desire, or idea of suffering. Let's say that together. I release any need, desire, or idea of suffering. I surrender to the process of continuous evolution. Let's say that one together. I surrender to the process of continuous evolution. And I joyously dive into the mystery with complete abandon, knowing that I am guided and sustained by life itself. Say that one with me. I joyously dive into the mystery with complete abandon, knowing that I am guided and sustained by life itself. So, if any part of you argues with any of that, or you can't quite see yourself there, know that we have an amazing group of licensed practitioners that are just waiting to assist you and support you and help you remember the truth of your being. You can reach out to them through our website at www.columbiacsl.com/practitioners/ or you can submit a prayer request to prayer@columbiacsl.com, and the practitioners and myself will hold you in prayer for the next week. So please avail yourself of this gift that is offered. And so, in wrapping us up, on behalf of our entire community, thank you for being a part of our spiritual experience today. Please remember to check out the announcement slides at the end of service, and I'll see you on the Zoom after chat in just a moment. Namaste.
To all my sisters who lie alone at night, don't you ever doubt your beauty, no, don't you ever doubt your light. You know that all the love you send always comes right back to you again. Lift up your shining face, 'cause you are amazing grace. To all my brothers, trying to be true, you are the living answer to everything that's asked of you. Well, I just hope that you can see just how very much that it means to me. How well you run this race, you are amazing grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that turned my whole world upside down. I feel so lost, but you know I'm found. Just gotta look around me, yeah, yeah. To everybody in this life so wide, keep the heart of a lover, the mind of a child. Oh, you know, I don't think that it's by chance that we met here in this mighty dance. Oh, love and time and space, oh, it's all amazing grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound to put my feet back on solid ground. I feel so lost, but you know I'm down. Just gotta look around me, It's all amazing grace. 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 It's all amazing. It's all amazing grace. It's all amazing. It's all amazing grace. It's all amazing. It's all amazing.